Beowulf. Anonymously written, translated by Burton Raffel. Chapter 19. So she reached Heorot, where the Danes slept as though already dead. Her visit ended their good fortune, reversed the bright vein of their luck. No female, no matter how fierce, could have come with a man's strength, fought with the power and courage men fight with, smashing their shining swords, their bloody hammer-forged blades onto boar-headed helmets, slashing and stabbing with the sharpest of points. The soldiers raised their shields and drew those gleaming swords, swung them above the piled-up benches, leaving their mail shirts and their helmets where they'd lain when the terror took hold of them. To save her life, she moved still faster. She took a single victim and fled from the hall, running to the moors. Discovered, her supper assured, sheltered in her dripping claws. She'd taken Hrothgar's closest friend, the man he most loved of all men on earth. She killed a glorious soldier, cut a noble life short. No Geat could have stopped her. Beowulf and his band has been given better beds. Sleep had come to them in a different hall. Then all Heorot burst into shouts. She had carried Grendel's claw off. Sorrow had returned to Denmark. They'd traded deaths, Danes and monsters, and no one had won. Both had lost. Chapter 20. I've heard that my people, peasants working in the fields, have seen a pair of such fiends wandering in the moors and marshes, giant monsters living in those desert lands. And they've said to my wise men that, as well as they could see, one of the devils was a female creature. The other, they say, walked through the wilderness like a man, but mightier than any man. They were frightened, and they fled, hoping to find help in Heorot. They named the huge one Grendel. If he had a father, no one knew him, or whether there'd been others before these two. Hidden evil before hidden evil. They live in secret places, windy cliffs, wolf dens where water pours from the rocks, then runs underground where mist streams like black clouds, and the groves of trees growing out over the lake are all covered with frozen spray and wind down snake-like roots that reach as far as the water and help keep it dark. At night, that lake burns like a torch. No one knows its bottom. No wisdom reaches such depths. A deer, hunted through the woods by a pack of hounds, a stag with great horns, though driven through the forest from faraway places, prefers to die on those shores, refuses to save its life in that water. It isn't far, nor is it a pleasant spot. When the wind stirs and storms, waves splash toward the sky, and as dark as the air, as black as the rain that the heavens weep, our only help, again, lies with you. Grendel's mother is hidden in her terrible home, in a place you've not seen. Seek it, if you dare. Save us, once more. And again twisted gold, heaped up ancient treasure, will reward you for the battle you win. 21. Beowulf spoke. Let your sorrow end. It is better for us all to avenge our friends, not mourn them forever. Each of us will come to the end of his life on earth. He who can earn it should fight for the glory of his name. Fame, after death, is the noblest of goals. Arise, guardian of this kingdom. Let us go as quickly as we can and have a look at this lady monster. I promise you this, she'll find no shelter, no hole in the ground, no towering tree, no deep bottom of a lake where her sins can hide. Be patient for one more day of misery. I ask for no longer." The old king leaped to his feet, gave thanks to God for such words. Then Hrothgar's horse was brought, saddled and bridled. The Danes' wise ruler rode, stately and splendid. Shield-bearing soldiers marched at his side. The monster's tracks led them through the forest. They followed her heavy feet that had swept straight across the shadowy wasteland, her burden the lifeless body of the best of Hrothgar's men. The trail took them up towering rocky hills and over narrow winding paths they had never seen, down steep and slippery cliffs, where creatures from deep in the earth hid in their holes. Hrothgar rode in front, with a few of his most knowing men to find their way. Then suddenly, where clumps of trees bent across cold gray stones, they came to a dismal wood. Below them was the lake, its water bloody and bubbly, and the Danes shivered, miserable, men tormented by grief seeing. There on that cliff above the water, Escher's bloody head. They looked down at the lake, felt how its heat rose up, watched the waves, blood-stained, swirling. Their battle horns sounded, then sounded again. Then they set down their weapons. They could see the water crawling with snakes, fantastic serpents swimming in the boiling lake, and sea beasts lying on the rocks, the kind that infested the ocean in the early dawn, often ending some ship's journey in their wild jaws. They rushed angrily out of sight when the battle horns blew. Beowulf aimed an arrow at one of the beasts, swimming sluggishly away, and the point pierced its hide, stabbed to its heart. Its life leaked out. Death swept it off. Quickly, before the dying monster could escape, they hooked its thrashing body with their curved boar spears, fought it to land, drew it up on the bluff. They stood and stared at the incredible wave roamer, covered with strange scales and horrible. Then Beowulf began to fasten on his armor. Not afraid for his life, but knowing the woven mail with its hammered links could save that life when he lowered himself into the lake, keep slimy monster claws from snatching at his heart, preserve him for the battle he was sent to fight. Hrothgar's helmet would defend him, that ancient shining treasure, encircled with hard rolled metal, set there by some smith's long dead hand, would block all battle swords, stop all blades from cutting at him when he'd swum toward the bottom, gone down in the surging water, deep toward the swirling sands.